Okay, welcome to the premise health test refresher. Let's take a look at this, how it's designed, and the basic outline of the entire test. Starts out with a count result. From the account result, it opens up into two basic tests. You have your MoCA result, which has all your MoCA devices and the communications between them, and your DOCSIS result. And from the DOCSIS result, that opens up into four distinct tests. So the DOCSIS result is made up of these four tests here: your spectra, flux, upstream, and downstream. After the test, there's an analysis section that analyzes the test and analyzes all the data that the test compiles, and it will give you recommendations as well. For example, if you're picking up a bunch of MoCA devices that are not on the account, it will recognize that, and it'll say it in the analysis section, and it'll recommend that you put a MoCA filter on. We'll look at that in a minute. Underneath the analysis, there is the NWT jobs, or National Watchtower Jobs section, and this section here will let you know if there is a plant fault in the area, if there is, if the head end is working on that specific node, if there are any NWT jobs for that specific node that you're in that could impact your test. And then you have neighborhood data underneath that, which will show neighbors' devices, and you can pull up the neighbors' devices and run a PHT test, or you can see if they have a similar signature on their devices. So you can there's a lot of data that we can mine. So let's start with the account result. Let's look at that section and look at how that opens up. The account result section here, it's on the top. You have your toggle buttons here. If you click here, this will open up a history of your PHT tests that you've run. And if you run a bunch of them, you'll have to use these other toggles to rewind, fast forward, or to jump all the way back to the beginning. Over here, you have the job number section, where if you have a route, you can just click here. It will pull up your entire route for the day. And give you under job number, and you can click on that, and it'll pull up a PHT test. So this is a great tool you can use to look at your day before you even start. When you look at how you're routed, and you look at the jobs, you can pull them up. If they're already active customers, you can pull them up and poll the devices and see what's going on at the house and get a lot of information before you even get there. I would keep these options clicked on so that you can drill down even farther, especially with the spectra, and we'll look at that a little bit later. Over here under account search, you can start typing in a phone number, you can type in a MAC address, you can type in an address, and it will start populating until you finish. If you do the account number, you go to the last number, then it'll zero down to that one account. Or you could just type in the account number itself. If you have that, just punch that in here and then hit submit. You also have the option to type in your MAC address for your meter and test that, and it will pull up a PHT result, and it'll come up right here, right before the account result that you're looking at. So you can compare your meter to the devices in the home, which is that's a pretty cool tool in itself. And I also would suggest that you use the web version or the app version of this test rather than using the TechNet version. Use the TechNet version when you're finished and just let it run. But while you're at the job, you can continue to run the app version or the web version, same thing. You continue run throughout while you're at the job. You can continue to run it and check as you're making repairs. This tab here gives you the option to expand all of the windows or close all the windows. I like to just close everything up and just look at one thing at a time, because you can suffer from information overload if you don't do that. This is really cool because this allows you this section here allows you to jump off of PHT and pull up a bunch of links that PHT actually pulls information from. So if you want to drill down farther, you can actually go to Mobile Scout or go to D3 Polar, or if you want to get more info, or go to X-Ray, you can click here and it'll take you right to it. So let's look at this account result here. It gives me the node right here. It gives me the CMTS, tells me where these devices are locked onto, the CMTS. It gives me latitude, longitude. It gives me the customer's name, address, timestamp of when this was run, APL, amplifier premise likely. It's either true or false, and it basically looks at the levels in the house almost the same way that a technician could look at levels and say, there must be an amp in that house because those levels are a little bit higher than they should be. That's basically how this works. It works off the delta between devices, but that's what that means. Amplifier presence likely. I've seen it a few times say false when there was an amp, and I've seen it say true when there was not an amp. So don't bank on this, but it's not a bad tool. Response time, how long it took to pull the test, ping all the devices and pull this test. NWT, National Watchtower account. Yes, it's true. It is in a Watchtower account. Gives you the customer phone number, city, state, perm links. This is JavaScript information. Okay, so in the next segment, we're going to go to the MoCA result, which is the first section of this test.